Good morning, students. Today I am coming here with the explanation of one lesson, that is chapter 8 from class 10 syllabus. How do organisms reproduce? So the basic idea of this lesson you have already learned in junior classes. Today some complicated and some useful terms which are used here, which are explained here in this lesson, I would like to discuss with you. So before starting the discussion, I would like to tell you that what is reproduction and what is the importance briefly. So reproduction is one of the life processes which is shown by the living organisms only. And this reproduction is essential for continuing the life of a particular species on this world. So due to reproduction only, the various life forms are available on the earth. So if there will be no reproduction, or if the reproduction of a particular species if it is terminated, then that particular species will disappear from this world. So that is the importance of the reproduction. And at the beginning of the lesson here, one important thing is explained, that is the DNA copying. So what is DNA? That is, DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. So it is one type of nucleic acid that is present within the nucleus of a cell, and this DNA is actually carrying all the hereditary information from one to the another generation through the chromosomes, because the small parts of the chromosomes, that is a gene, and gene is responsible for the various characteristics. So that means when one organism reproduce, at that time the DNA is copied. That means one duplicate copy of the DNA is formed, and that duplicate copy is transferred to the next generation. That means a new individual which is going to be produced. And by this way, the same characteristics is obtained by the new one. For example, you see, from one banana plant, another banana plant is coming. So not an apple plant is coming. Same way, from the dog, one puppy will come only. From one human, only human baby will come. Not other animals or not other plants are forming. So it is because of the DNA copying. So the same genetic information is carried from one to the another generation because of the DNA copying, and that is why one particular organism, one particular species of one organism, they reproduce the same kind, not a different kind. So that is the first, it is explained here in the book. Next, there is the modes of reproduction used by single organisms. So reproduction is mainly of two types. One is asexual reproduction and one is sexual reproduction. So in asexual reproduction, it is a very simple type of reproduction where the gametes are not required, and in sexual reproduction gametes are required. It is a complex process. So in the examination, generally the difference between asexual and sexual reproduction, it comes. So briefly, I would like to tell you that asexual reproduction, it is a very simple type of reproduction, where sexual reproduction is a very complex type of reproduction. In asexual reproduction, the gametes are not required, and in sexual reproduction, gametes are required. In asexual reproduction, only one parent can produce their offsprings, but in sexual reproduction, two parents are required. One is male and one is female is required for the process. Again, this asexual reproduction, it is a very fast process, and the sexual reproduction is a very complex and slow process. So these are the simple differences between the asexual and sexual reproduction. Then this single organism, that means the unicellular organisms, they usually use the asexual reproduction, and some of the asexual reproduction used by the single cell organisms, that means the unicellular organisms, it is explained here. Firstly, it is the fission. So fission may be binary fission or multiple fission, it is said here. Then regeneration, then budding, and then vegetative propagation. So these are after that spore formation. So these are explained here in the book. I would like to tell you briefly. So first of all, that is the fission. Fission means splitting the cell into two or more than two parts. So that is fission. So binary fission, where the one cell is divided into two and both the new cells, they are developing as a new individual. So that is binary fission. It is generally shown by the amoeba. Then multiple fission is also there. It is generally shown by one organism. It is say the plasmodium. So here from one cell, not only two, more than two cells are formed in the same time. So that is why it is multiple fission. Multiple, not only binary, multiple fission. Then another one is also there, that is the segmentation. So in segmentation or fragmentation. So in fragmentation, what happened? The body of the individual, that means generally unicellular. So their body splits into several parts, and every part grows like one new individual. So that is the fragmentation. So it is also shown by some very simple type of unicellular organisms like Spirogyra, it is same. Then another one is coming, that is the regeneration. So regeneration is usually shown by multicellular organisms. Generally unicellular organisms are not showing regeneration. Then one example is given, it is a planaria. So in this case also, this fragmentation and regeneration similar, some differences are there. So in fragmentation, first of all, it happens in case of unicellular organisms, but regeneration, it happens in case of multicellular organisms. And one more difference is also there. In regeneration, generally, which part is detached? That part, from that part a new organism is not formed. Which part is detached? That part again regenerates. So let, for example, one simple example I am telling you, the lizard. So in case of lizard, what happens? That sometimes if you touch the tail of the lizard, the tail detached from the body of the lizard, and afterwards, after a few days, in that place, a new tail is developed. But the tail which is detached, that tail will not develop into a new lizard. So that is one example. So, but in some cases it happens. For example, the planaria, it is mentioned in the book Planaria. So in case of planaria, if it is divided into different parts, then every part is also forming a new planaria. That means new organism. So it happens in some cases, but generally it does not happen. Then budding, it is mentioned. So during budding, what happens from the mature